Hello, I'm Beth with Beth's Bells. I'm a certified kettlebell instructor. Today I'm going to be discussing some options that you could be using, modifications to assist you with 3 exercises, and I'm referring to it as making the ground or floor come up to you. So the first exercise is the half windmill or half kneeling windmill, and typically the half kneeling windmill you are going to be reaching your forearm to the floor while the other arm is overextended above with the bell, kettlebell. So watching the bell, kicking the hip out, reaching to the floor. So you need to have a lot of flexibility in your knees, your hips, your ankle, a lot of functionality here in your thoracic spine, the middle of your back, and your shoulders to be able to internally and externally rotate. So if you're having difficulties with this position, and it's quite core centric as well, I would recommend that you bring the floor to you. So place a platform of some kind, a yoga block, a yoga wedge, a low step, something underneath the area where your forearm is going to be reaching, so that you can even touch it just with your fingertips. You don't have to go any further than that. So pressing the bell up, always watching the bell, breathing in, touching the foam block, and breathing out. Breathing in, touching the foam block to the forearm, and breathing out. And eventually, you get to the point where you don't need the block anymore. Develop that core strength, flexibility in your thoracic spine and your shoulders, and you're able to reach right down to the ground. So as an extension of the half windmill or kneeling windmill, you might also therefore have difficulties with the full windmill. And the full expression, of course, of the windmill is standing up, and you're going to need 2 bells for this exercise in order to accommodate and bring the floor closer to you. So I like to have a nice wide stance, because if I don't have a wide enough stance, I won't be able to kick my hip out. And if I can't kick my hip out, then I won't be able to reach to the floor. You can't do a windmill with your legs almost stuck together. There's no room to move. So you need a nice wide stance. And the first step in doing the full windmill, if you're feeling that you don't have that strength or mobility, is to learn the proper positioning. So place a bell on the instep of that foot that you're aiming for, and then pretend you have a bell in your hand, watching the bell kick the hip out, and tap the handle, and then come back up. And just keep tapping the handle. And get used to this connection of how your body's moving. Internally, externally rotate the shoulder. Core is tight. Breathing in, touch the handle, breathing out. And eventually, you get to the point where you can pick up the bell from the bottom and not have to worry about anything overhead. So again, hinging, pick up the bell, place it back down at the instep. And then you might think, okay, I'm getting stronger, getting more and more mobility in my shoulders, in my thoracic spine. I feel like maybe I'd like to try overhead. So grab a light weight. First, I wouldn't recommend anything too heavy, even a hand weight would do. And it's the same principle, but here, you're not sliding down all the way to the floor. You're still going to tap the bell at the bottom. So pressing up, breathing in, touch the bell, breathing out, and down. And finally, you won't need that bell at the bottom anymore, or if you have a chair, but perhaps that would be even better for some people if it's a little higher. You can use no props and perform full expression of the windmill right down to your ankles or shin, or even go to your knee until you can get down low enough where you feel that your hamstrings aren't keeping you from doing it and your hips are loose enough, your thoracic spine and shoulder can internally and externally rotate. And the third exercise where people have some difficulties and where it's much better to have that modification or that regression and bring the floor to you is the overhead squat, which is quite an advanced exercise. So if you don't feel that you can perform a squat without being able to keep your shoulder blades together and over above your head while getting into a deeper squat, then I would recommend that you don't even try this, because you're going to need that thoracic spine mobility and your shoulders will need to be strong enough to keep the bell from wavering above. You need to keep it right beside your head. So once you feel confident about the mobility aspect, you can go to trying the overhead squat. And again, we're bringing the floor to us. So you clean the bell, you rack it, press it above, and at first, you're going to squat as low as you feel comfortable, tapping the little foam block, or perhaps you would like to have the foam block up on its end like this to begin with, where it's even higher, or even possibly pile a couple of blocks or 3 blocks up on top of each other. Breathing in, tap the block, come up. Breathing in, tap the block, come up. And eventually, again, after many repetitions and a lot of exercises and opening up for mobility, you'll be able to get to the point where you can hold the weight overhead, beginning of course with a lighter weight, eventually progressing to a heavier weight, keeping the elbow close, the eye of your elbow close to your ear, internally and externally rotating your shoulder, thoracic spine opening up, and do the full expression. Watching the bell, breathing in, lower to the floor, breathing out. Watching the bell, breathing in, lower and touch, and breathing out. Great, I hope this has helped. Thank you very much. I'm Bev Bells, and have a great day.